case where this guy was complaining about all the books on the AA reading list, the short list, the list in the back of Book 4, Part 2. And I said to him, you are a lawyer. How many books did you have to read to pass the bar exam? Why are you complaining about the books? You want to be Magus of the universe, and you're complaining about a tiny number of books compared to the books you had to read to be a mediocre lawyer. That's craziness to me, but that's what we run into all the time. So one of the most important things is to see whether they'll read the material or not, whether they'll study it. And, a lot of times people will say, well, I don't read well, or I read very slowly, or I don't do well with reading. Too bad. Any really good teacher is going to make you do a certain amount of reading to get that intellectual common language down, because that's just the start of it. The whole occult task is not reading books, it's doing things. But if you don't do the reading, forget about it. And that's the saddest thing is I've seen in the community these days is so many people who think everything's up on the internet so they don't have to read anything. You've run into this too, haven't you?
Yes. Well, the other thing that people need to keep in mind, I think, is that all of the tasks and work that you're going to have to do are not going to seem directly connected to the object at hand, but it all fits together in the end.
Right. Well, it depends. I mean, it's the thing that they have to figure out a lot of times when you're starting out with occult work. You don't know what it is that you're going to do. I mean, one friend of mine who's very bright when it comes to these issues keeps saying that occult work is not any different from college. Sooner or later, you have to pick a major. You have to find an area within the occult world that you're going to concentrate in, because occultism, in and of itself, is a nearly infinite sort of field. I mean, there's very many, many, many different areas of study. And what's disappointing to me, and sort of an indication that people aren't really getting it, is meeting people who've been in the community for 20 years and don't have a major yet.
Mm-hmm.
They know a little bit about this, a little bit about that, but their area of concentration, the thing that they are the most focused on, isn't really apparent. And that's pathetic. I mean, no one is a student for 20 years at a college and doesn't have a major. You pick a major, and the earlier on you pick your major and you focus and you find a thing that you can spend the rest of your life working on, the better off you're going to be. And that's going to help you find a teacher, because that's going to help you show the direction you want to go in. But a lot of times when you're just starting out, you don't always know what that thing is going to be. So you get a wide, you get a wide palette of experiences, you get a wide palette of information, and from that work and those experiences, you pick the thing that you're going to work on. If your teacher doesn't seem to have a major, that's a mistake. Another thing I would urge people to check for is fakers. There's people, especially around here locally, that I kind of find entertaining, who have come to the conclusion that if they act like adepts all the time, people will think that they are. So they walk around with these very serious expressions and this very sort of deep kind of aching world on my shoulders sort of attitude, and they're basically faking what they think an adept is like. And it can be very successful in fooling people. But, you have to kind of pierce through that and see where's the beef here? Where's the real deal? What do these people really have to teach? And if they're just putting on an act, you should be smart enough to see that pretty quickly.
Well, the other thing is people don't have to make a decision quickly. They can spend a lot of time working with a person without dedicating themselves to that master. Yeah, and they should have the same attitude that Crowley, says that they should have, which is to evaluate and to look skeptically on what people say. I mean, the weirdest thing about this, and I think you'll agree with me about this, is that in a occult movement which validates independent thought and scientific skepticism, we have a tremendous number of people who operate completely on faith and show no skepticism whatsoever. I don't understand that. I mean, I don't understand the slavish obedience to authority in the OTO, which often just looks like craven submission and the most disgustingly slavish attitudes, given what Crowley says about how we should be evaluating our teachers. We should be looking at them skeptically. We should be making them prove that they can do what they say they can do. Right. But yet again, in the occult community, we find people who are really kind of looking for masters. They're slaves looking for masters. And there's a lot of people out there that are looking for a little tribe of goons and a little, cult to follow them around. And they're gonna find that if that's what they're looking for. I think it's disgusting, but that's me. Well, that about wraps it up for today. Is there anything else you want to add?
Oh, no, not at all.
All right. Well, thanks again for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, John.
93.
All right. Well, that about wraps up this podcast. I want to thank both Keiths and Richard for being on the show. I want to thank all the listeners who make this a success, in particular the ones who give feedback. I'm not going to be doing a CD giveaway on this podcast just because of the time constraints and some of the other logistics with that. The 26th, I'm actually going to have an interview with the owner of Latex Records, and we're going to be giving a CD away on that one. So, but Latex Records is still a sponsor, and I'm going to be closing with a song of theirs, a remix of a song called Jackalhead by the band Kali Yuga. I really, really love this song. Kali Yuga has recently just put out a new CD, and Latex is distributing that. On a future podcast, I will be playing those songs. But for now, I am going to be playing Kali Yuga's Jackalhead. And just before I go, I want to point out to everybody that loshtal.com is now offering a free blog service using, I think, the WordPress software. So if you were thinking of making a blog, they have one, and it's free, and I strongly encourage everybody to support loshtal.com. It's a wonderful online resource for Thelemites, a great place for people to get together and discuss things, and now it's a wonderful place to have your blog. All right, well, thanks again for listening, and don't forget the Holy Days podcasts are coming up this weekend. I'm going to be releasing each one on each day, so thanks again for listening. Love is the law, love under will.
Well, the podcast is almost over. Now what are you gonna do?
Look for porn?
See, that's what you get when you raise your child to be a pagan.
You son of a... Your mom sucks!
Alright, you two, that's quite enough.
I'm sorry, was it the pagan remark?
Actually, it probably was, but you can make up for it by tuning into Circle of Souls Pagan Radio.
Kick ass!
Yes, it does. Just surf on over to circleofsouls.net. Circle of Souls Pagan Radio.
Activity linked to an archaeological seems what all talk was a myth has become reality. The sands of the desert have become a place of